hello everyone. I am just trying to figure out how to make this bigger. I'm on a new streaming platform. And the little layout that I had is not exactly what I thought it was going to be. So let me just make myself bigger. Okay, there we go. Forgive me, I just downloaded this new like streaming platform because I wanted to do something kind of fun. Let's see, is this making that bigger? Nope. Where's the little frame? That's not it. All right, this is it. All right, you know, I'm just gonna delete it. We're gonna hide it for now. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Well, hello. Welcome to my September live stream. I know we're kind of just still waiting for people to just trickle in, but happy Saturday. So I'm really excited for today because today is a day where I'm going to do some fall stuff, which I'm excited about. Unfortunately, it is raining today. Portland decided to be Portland, and it hasn't rained in quite a few months. So, of course, the one day where I have things planned to do fall stuff, especially with a friend, yeah, anyway, that makes me a little angry, but it's okay, I suppose. So, yeah, whoops. Sorry about that. Again, still just trying to play with my little live stream. Give me 1 second. I don't need that. Okay, I think I got rid of what I was looking for. Yeah, so sorry. So I downloaded Streamlabs OBS because I wanted to see if there was like a way to just make this a little bit more, I guess, engaging. And I wanted to see if there's a way to share my screen on this application. I'm still like playing around with everything, so please do bear with me as I'm still just trying to figure it all out. So my apologies there. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start putting on some makeup. And I'm not going to do anything too crazy with my makeup today. I think I'm just going to be a little bit lazy since the weather is kind of gross out. I'm probably not going to do like any eyeshadow. But at least for the time being, I will put on some foundation because, you know, my acne has just been so bad. So I'm going to put on my little headband. Okay. Alrighty. So I have a dry beauty sponge. Actually, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use a makeup brush this time since I don't feel like walking away from my computer to wet my, my beauty sponge. So I'll just put some primer on in the meantime. And just wait for more people to trickle in. I know 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time can be a little bit challenging for some people. I just sort of picked this time just because this was the only time that really worked for me. So if no one shows up, that's okay. People can always watch the replay, no big deal. But hopefully more people come in later and we can have a conversation and have fun together. Okay, I think I got all of my primer on. And I'm also going to set my face with some powder first since I put some oil on my face, so I don't want my foundation to rub off. Okay. So, one thing that I want to share with... Actually, you know what? I'll wait till more people come in. Because I don't want to share it to like one person. But something exciting did happen to me earlier this week, so I cannot wait to tell you guys all about it. Hi, beautiful. Hope all is well in Oregon. Hi, Freddie. Thank you so much. All is well. Where are you located? Okay. Okay, I think that looks good. My face feels a lot less oily. One little trick that I learned on TikTok was to set my face with powder before I even apply, what is it? Foundation. You're in San Diego. Nice. I still have yet to go to San Diego. I have always wanted to go to San Diego, and I just never got the chance to go. You would think that for someone who's lived in San Francisco for 4 years would have made their way down to San Diego, but nope, for some reason I failed. How's the weather down there right now? Is it still really warm? You're moving to Hercules soon. Okay, so you're moving to the Bay Area. Hercules was one city in the East Bay that I never ventured off to. What is it about Hercules that you want to, like, I'm sorry, I cannot talk today. Wow. What is it about Hercules that excites you, I guess? Is it cost of living? It's still really warm. Nice. So I think it's starting to cool down here in Portland. It has been pretty warm for the most part. We get a really nice summer, and when I was in San Francisco, I didn't really get seasons at all. And I definitely missed having a summer weather. But yeah, I hear San Diego's really nice. It's kind of more of like an upscale version of LA. That's kind of what I've heard. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what people tell me. Oh my god, this looks just so much better. I just get so insecure about my acne, and I just feel like now my face just looks brighter and clearer, and I still look the same as if I wasn't wearing makeup. It just looks like clear skin. That is the power of foundation, people. Cost of living is super expensive in the Bay compared to San Diego, so I'm just moving up there for a temporary job. Gotcha. Yeah. I know San Diego is a lot cheaper than San Francisco and LA. I think I've seen rent prices for maybe like a room to a studio from like 900 to 1100, which isn't that bad. That's kind of similar to prices in Portland. I know Portland has gotten more expensive in terms of cost of living, but to me, like, any kind of price in Portland for an apartment will always be considered cheap for me just because I'm so used to Bay Area rental prices. So whenever someone in Portland complains, oh my god, rent is so expensive, a studio costs $900 to $1,200, and I'm like, LOL. I wish a studio in San Francisco cost that much, because then I would still be there. That's how much I was paying for a room. I'd say an average of what I was paying for a room, the lowest was $1,100, and then the highest was $1,650, which sucks. And I definitely cannot believe that I once thought that was okay to pay $1,650 just for a room. Just like, what was I thinking? If it was a one bedroom, sure, I would totally pay $1,650 for a one bedroom, because at least like I get a whole apartment to myself and I'm getting more bang for my buck. But a room, goddamn. Now that you got to experience both Oregon and San Francisco, if you had to choose between your forever place, which would you choose and why? I'm sure both places are lovely, but I'm sure you like one more than the other. Yeah, that's a great question. So I visited San Francisco a couple weeks ago, and let me tell you, I got so much FOMO, and I was feeling a little bit bad about myself because I missed this place so much, and I felt like I was just in my element again. I do have plans to move back to San Francisco once my lease is up. So I signed a year lease for my apartment, and it expires May of next year. And then I believe it goes month to month after that. So I'm hoping that I will be debt free by then, and I should be. So that's pretty nice. And I hope that when I move back to San Francisco, I will look for a studio again, just because I am so over living with roommates. So, but the long story short, to answer your question, I would say San Francisco, or maybe just somewhere in the Bay Area in general. There's just something about the Bay Area that just is very comfortable for me. And I know there are so many people who don't like San Francisco due to homelessness and crime and needles and whatnot. But what really frustrates me about people saying stuff like that and talking so poorly about San Francisco is that they only just compare the Tenderloin and Soma and some of the jankier places in the city and say that's all of San Francisco, when really it's just a small portion of San Francisco. When I went back to San Francisco last month, I will tell you that I mean, obviously I saw homeless people, but you don't see tents everywhere you go. You really see tents in certain spots. Like I know Potrero Hill, some of the more jankier parts of Potrero Hill, you'll see tents, and especially in Soma, maybe some parts of the Mission, and definitely in the Tenderloin. But those are really the only places where you'll see tents. In Portland, homelessness is insane here. And I know there's technically more homelessness in San Francisco than there is in Portland, but I see tents everywhere in every single neighborhood, even the nice neighborhoods. And it's just so crazy because in San Francisco, that's not something that I really saw. And another crazy thing is you'll see tents along the interstate, along like, what is it, 50, is it 54, 50, or no, it's 84. I don't really know the interstates in Portland yet just because I don't have a car, so I barely drive, but I think it's 84. And it's just insane that people literally camp out along the interstate on the grassy spots. And then in San Francisco, that's not a thing. Some people might camp out underneath like freeway bridges, but not along the actual interstate, like on grassy spots. That's something you don't see, and that's just crazy to me. So it really just annoys me when people say that San Francisco is a shithole when it's really not. San Francisco is absolutely beautiful. There are just certain parts of San Francisco that you should probably avoid. But also keep in mind, every single major city has homelessness. Every single major city has crime. If you don't like urban living, then go to the suburbs, because I don't know. I just feel like it's a very privileged and classist thing to say that I don't want to be in an area where there's homelessness, or I don't want to live in a city where there's a high homeless population. I want to be where it's just nothing but people who are like me. I don't know. I just feel like that's a very privileged thing to say, in my opinion. And I don't think it's fair because homeless people are still people. And I just think to compare them to like nothing is disgusting to me. That's a house payment. Oh, yeah. I think when I was talking about like the high rent that I was paying, yeah, that could definitely be a mortgage payment to some people. For sure. Absolutely. I don't know how much my parents paid for their mortgage, but let me tell you, I hope one day when I do buy a house, I won't have to make any house payments. I hope that I can buy my house in full. That would be the absolute dream for me. Just because, again, mortgage is expensive. And I think it would be really cool to have a house in the Bay Area, especially in San Francisco, but it is so freaking expensive, y'all. I kid you not. I mean, I was looking at condo prices because a toxic trait of mine is going on Zillow and looking at the prices of condos and houses. and thinking to myself that that's something that I'm going to ever be able to afford. And that's not even the case at all. It's so expensive. Good to see if that all goes well for you. You'll be out of debt too. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I know there's not many people here, but I guess I will share the news. And if more people trickle in, then I can repeat myself. But I just started a new job this week, and that's really exciting for me. So I recently just uploaded a podcast episode about this. So if you don't listen to my podcast, be sure to check that out, as you can hear more details about my whole job search. But long story short, I interviewed with so many places, and I dealt with so much bullshit. And I really thought that I would be past this by now, because I know that I'm a decent candidate for tech recruiting positions. And there were people who still turned me down, and I didn't really get an understanding of why people were turning me down, unless if it was for like a more senior position. That could make more sense, because I'm more mid-level in terms of what I do. But I did start a new job this week with a really great company, and it's in the mental health space, and it is a Series B startup. And it's fully remote, which is something that I really like about it. And I also really care so much about the mission and what the company does. So for me, that was really important, because my last company was not the best. And I guess I didn't really talk about why I left my last company on here. I mentioned it on my podcast, but for those who are wondering why I ended up quitting my last job that I started back in February, it was because it was not a good culture fit. I thought that the people that I worked with were really, really boring, and I didn't really get excited about what my company was doing. So my old company is called Flyer Labs, and it was in the airline revenue management space. Sorry if I'm not looking at the camera as I'm like looking in my mirror to do my brows, but it was in the airline revenue management space. And that's just not something that excited me. And the reason I took that job initially, because it was the only company that gave me an offer when I had gotten laid off twice in 2020. And I desperately needed a job. I needed to get back on track. And that was really frustrating. So I was in no position to turn that offer down and to keep searching. And so that was another reason as to why I took the job, because your girl was in debt, she was poor, she needed the money, right? And she also liked that it was a remote job and I could work anywhere, especially that I was getting ready to move to Portland. So that was really nice that I could have that job to go ahead and move. And so another reason that I left my company is that I was treated really unfairly by upper management. So I went through 3 different managers at my company, which is a problem. If you're going through 3 different managers within a 6-month period, that says a lot about a company, right? So my second boss started off being really cool, and then she turned into a tyrant. And she started becoming micromanaging, and then she put me on a performance improvement plan, which was bullshit because I didn't deserve to be put on that. And the reason she wanted to put me on this was because I had 2 roles that were taking me longer to fill. And keep in mind, they were actually really hard positions to fill. And the hiring managers had really unrealistic expectations for these positions. So it made my job that much harder. And I kept trying to work with hiring managers to take away certain requirements because there's a reason we're not making hires, is because you want somebody who has SQL and Python experience and also has client-facing experience or a consulting background. And it's a plus if they came in the airline revenue management space. That's a lot. There aren't many people out there like that. And so I basically got flagged, and I was getting in trouble by the VP of AI delivery. He was like, where are my candidates? Where are these candidates? These positions needed to be filled yesterday. And this guy has never even done tech hiring before. He came from an airline company. He's never hired for tech positions. He doesn't understand the tech market. And I was just really mad because he didn't come to me first and talk about like, hey, what's going on? Where are these candidates? And I was doing my best. I had candidates, just that a lot of candidates were failing the hiring manager calls. They were failing the assignments, and they weren't performing well in the interview process. And he put all of that blame on me and then relayed it back to my manager. So not only was I put on a performance improvement plan, but then I had these roles removed from my workload, which made me really mad. And it felt like I had broken trust with that person. And then another candidate that I interviewed for one of these positions apparently gave me negative feedback and said that it felt like I was reading from a script and that I wasn't able to answer their questions and that it seemed like I painted the company in a negative light. And I thought that was bullshit because I knew exactly who this person was. And I thought I had a really good conversation with this person. So because only one fucking person complained, that caused me to get on a PIP. And then I had these check-in meetings with my new manager and then my old manager. She then went to shadow all of my calls and then give me feedback. And of course, when you're going to shadow my calls and watch me like a hawk, obviously I'm going to mess up. Obviously, there's going to be something that I do wrong, right? Because you're going to make me very anxious. And so, of course, she was able to give me negative feedback and give me just negative feedback. And during these check-ins would make me feel like shit and call me out and tell me that I didn't know anything about the company, which is not true at all. And so I couldn't take it anymore. And then before I was getting ready to quit, then they asked me to relocate to either Dallas or LA. So they were opening up offices in Dallas and LA, and I know that they wanted recruiters to be in those locations, but that they were going to hire separate people for that, but they were already struggling to even hire more recruiters as this company was already struggling to get people. And I think it's just because of what the company does. This is just me personally, but I don't think airline revenue management is a very exciting space this is just my opinion. Feel free to disagree with me, but that didn't excite me at all. And so, that could have been one reason as to why I struggled to get people. And so when I was still on a PIP, they asked me about the relocation to keep my job, and I said no. I have no desire to move to Dallas, and no offense to anyone in here who lives in Dallas, it's just not my cup of tea. And while LA is really cool and everything, I can't stand that traffic. I also don't have a car, and I just personally don't want to move to LA. I like visiting LA. I love being in LA, but I just don't think I could handle living in LA, in my opinion. So I walked away. That was like the final straw. Like the audacity to ask me something like that. It just really, really pissed me off. So that's the tea on pretty much why I left my job. And I'm really happy about my new company. And so, I only worked 3 days this week. So I started on a Wednesday. I don't know why my company starts people on Wednesdays. I meant to ask them. I think it might have to do with payroll. I'm not sure. But I'm already liking it a lot better. The company just has their shit together. And what's funny is that this company is only about a year old. And it's more than a year old. It's like a year and a half old, coming up to 2 years. And it got its Series B status really, really quickly. My old company, which is also Series B, it was founded in 2014 or 13, and it didn't get its Series B until 2019. So the fact that it took them like 4 or 5 years or more than that actually, 6 years, I think, I can't do math in my head, to get that kind of funding is, I think it says a lot. And so the fact that my company is so fast growing in the mental health space, you may have heard of it. They're all over Instagram, and a lot of influencers are starting to get sponsored by them now. But it's a very fast-growing mental health company, and it provides affordable therapy for those suffering with like anxiety, depression, insomnia. We just started an ADHD pilot and a bipolar disorder pilot, so that's really exciting. So yeah, I really like what my company is doing, and also the people just seem so much better. If there's one thing I also didn't like about my company, aside from the people that I directly worked with, as in like the HR team, these people have so much more personality, which is something that I really like a lot. And I just felt like the people at my last company were people that I couldn't really relate to. And what I mean by that is that they were a lot older than me, and they also just didn't have anything in common with me. I felt like nobody just let their personality show during work. And on Slack, people didn't really say anything funny on Slack. People didn't open up about their lives. I just felt like the only times people used Slack was just to communicate about work and also share news about what was going on in the airline industry or any announcements when it came to hiring. But other than that, I just felt like there was absolutely no culture at this company. And the company didn't do any fun things. Like, there were no virtual happy hours. There were no game nights. There were no little clubs on Slack where people could talk about different things, except for pets. There was a pet channel, but that was really it. And so with this company, we do monthly happy hours, monthly game days in the middle of the day to take a break from our work with at least the recruiting team, which is something that I really like. And I just feel that this is just a much better environment for me, where the people are like me and they're around my age. They're just more relatable. And the fact that we all care about something, which is mental health, and we all work in recruiting, and the recruiting team is bigger too. And that's another thing that I really like about this company, is that there's a bigger tech recruiting team, and everyone comes from different backgrounds. And I also like how collaborative it is and how everyone's willing to help each other out. And I just felt like I wasn't really getting that at my last company. So that is the story about like me starting my new job and just how my first 3 days went. It's been so busy. My days have been back to back booked with meetings. But I really like that. I like that I'm feeling productive. I like that I'm already feeling supported. So I can't wait to start. And I get a new boss on Monday as she is starting, thankfully around the same time that I did. So that's kind of nice, as I know they were trying to hire a recruiting manager. So I came in at a really good time. So that's exciting. And yeah, I'm so happy about my new job. So another great thing about this is that I don't feel anxious. And what I mean by that is, when I first started working at Flyer, I got so much anxiety thinking like, well, what if they fire me? Well, what if I get laid off? Or what if I don't do well at this job? There were so many doubts going through my head. And when I started at this company, I wasn't thinking that way, which is a good sign. I just feel a lot more confident in knowing that I'm going to be able to succeed here, and the fact that I'm working with more hiring managers who are willing to be open to feedback and lower expectations when needed, if expectations when it comes to hiring are just absolutely impossible and unrealistic. So that makes me really, really happy. So yeah, that's the news about me starting a new job. And if you want to hear more about my job search process, feel free to listen to that podcast episode. It just came out this past Wednesday, because there was some bullshit that I dealt with. Let me tell you. Maybe they had someone already in mind, but so awesome that you got a new opportunity. It wasn't that they had someone in mind. It was more of the fact that they just wanted to get rid of me. And typically when you are put on a PIP or a performance improvement plan, it's usually like a signal that you're going to get fired at some point, because I feel like a lot of people who are placed on a PIP don't really end up successfully getting off of it. But comment in the chat if you have survived a PIP. I'd love to hear your story and what you did to make it work. Because for me personally, I wasn't going to have it. It was something that I did not deserve to be on, and it was just completely devaluing. So on a lighter note, or I guess we can change the subject. So the purpose of my day today was to go do fall things, and I haven't heard back from my friend. We were supposed to do stuff today, so I'm not really sure what's going on. But if anything, I'll just do things by myself. But I was bummed because it rained in Portland today, and I think it's raining on and off. It doesn't, I think it stopped raining. I'm starting to see blue skies. It's so hard to tell. I don't think it's raining anymore, but I'm not sure I want to like take my chance to go to a pumpkin patch where everything's going to be kind of yucky and muddy and gross and stinky. So I might pass on that today. Maybe I'll try again tomorrow. But I do have a fun little event planned today that I'm just kind of treating myself to. So I don't know if anyone's done like a haunted pub tour or not, but that's something that I bought tickets for. I'm not going to lie, it was kind of expensive. So it paid like $39 for it, which is a lot of money, but I guess it includes like all the beer that comes with the tour. And it's all haunted. It's supposed to be this really fun experience. So spoiler alert, the reason I'm doing this tour is pretty much for a video. So I wanted to start filming a video for some of the most fun things you can do in Portland during the fall season. And I really wanted to get that video out this week, but there's just no way. So I think if anyone wants to comment down below and when they think should be the best time to post this, do you think I should do the fall video towards the end of this month or wait until October? The reason that I wanted to get the video out earlier was so people had all of September, all of October, and all of November to do a lot of fall activities. So that way the video would kind of generate more traction over time. So let me know what makes more sense in the chat. Should I wait until October to do the fall video, or should I still post it this month but maybe a little bit towards the end of the month? Please, please, please give me your feedback because it's so important that I post videos on a certain timeline that makes more sense to my subscribers. My experience that has been all government jobs. People that get on PIPs are hard to fire, but I'm assuming it's easier to get fired in the public sector. Interesting. Why is it harder to get fired in the government when you're placed on a PIP? I had always thought that when you're placed on a PIP, like it's kind of like a sure sign that you're on your way to getting fired. Gary says end of the month. Awesome. Thank you. Alrighty, I think I've kind of snatched my nose as is. Sorry, sometimes I get a little bit distracted. Okay, so I'm going to do my eyelashes now. I don't think I'm going to put any lashes on. When I say lashes, it's just mascara. I'm just not feeling eyeshadow today. I'm just kind of keeping my eye makeup, or not my eye makeup, just my makeup in general, just more natural and simple today, just because the weather's been kind of yucky and I'm just feeling kind of lazy at this point. Ever since the pandemic started, I haven't been as extra with my makeup. Just popping in to say hi, Ilana. I have to leave to shop for things for my apartment in New York City. I hate shopping/tours. Oh, that's so exciting. You know, it's funny. After this, I am thinking about going to Home Goods and Target. It really depends on my time that I have today. So my little event is at 7 tonight. So I probably won't go to a pumpkin patch today, but it's so funny you're going to go apartment shopping today because I'm also going to be doing that. I just ordered a couch on Wayfair, and I have been waiting to get the little living room video up, so that should definitely be up sometime this month as well, so expect that. And I know people have been waiting for Portland content, and I know Portland content has it hasn't happened in the past few days, or not the past few days, the past few weeks, just because I was in San Francisco for a week, and then I focused on San Francisco content, since I know so many subscribers missed that. And I missed it too. So that did really well. I think San Francisco week did really well. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you really liked San Francisco week and you can't wait for me to do another one. That's always helpful. So Portland content is coming back. I think what I'm going to do, because I am going to go shopping, I think I'm just going to do like a Home Goods Target shopping video for fall. I think that's going to make more sense because what I wanted to do for Monday's video, it just got delayed, and that really frustrates me, and the weather is not the best. So I'm just going to change things up a little bit and probably do that for Monday's video. It's hard because they give you the opportunity to fix the issue. I guess it's just more costly for the government to get rid of someone. Also, I would like to see a video of fall in Oregon. I'm sure it must look awesome out there with all the trees. Yeah, don't worry. The fall video for Portland is coming. It's coming. Don't worry. And I heard that fall in Oregon is beautiful because there's so much foliage or foliage. I don't know how you pronounce that word. And I'm excited to see all of the leaves change. They're starting to change a little bit here, actually. I can see some of the trees starting to get a little bit orange outside of my window, so I can't wait for the leaves to change even more. And I cannot wait to hike in a forest where it's just nothing but like reds, yellows, and oranges. Ugh, I didn't get that in San Francisco unless if I went to like the North Bay or the South Bay, not the South Bay, but the peninsula, because San Francisco, I mean, yes, we have trees, but you don't really notice the trees changing because there's not as many trees. So you don't really get that fall experience in San Francisco. And also our weather in the fall is actually warm. Like San Francisco fall time is really the summer for them. So that's always frustrating. So I'm excited to have a season again, even though I did love San Francisco in general. Yeah, you look super happy to be back in San Francisco, even if it's so short time. I was really happy. It is my home. I absolutely love San Francisco so much. I do like Portland, though. Don't get me wrong. I think Portland's a nice little city. I think it feels very similar to San Francisco. It's just a little bit smaller, and it's definitely not near the ocean, which is one thing that I really liked about San Francisco is that it was a coast city. And I am somebody who absolutely loves the water. I mean, I'm a water sign after all, but I've always liked being near the water. Now, Portland does have a river, and you can see the river outside of my window, which is really awesome. But it's not the same as the ocean. And I have to go about an hour and 15 minutes just to get to the coast from Portland, which isn't that bad. But, I mean, it's not like San Francisco where it could take me like 20 to 30 minutes depending on where I was. I was so happy to see San Francisco content, especially because I just moved from there and I miss it quite a bit. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that you had to leave, but it sounds like you moved to New York City, and I hope that New York City is going well for you. I'm curious to know, I don't know if you're still in the chat or not, but why did you end up moving to New York City? Alrighty, let's see. What else do I need to do on my face? I think, highlighter, and then I guess my lips, and then I'll be done. Where's my highlighter? You know what I'm gonna do a different kind of highlighter. Okay, this is like one of my favorite highlighters. So for anyone who's still here, I'm curious to know, what are some of your favorite things you like to do during the fall? That would be a good way to spark another conversation. I really like going to pumpkin patches. I feel like that's such a basic white girl thing to say, but there's just something really fun about going to pumpkin patches. I also really like apple picking. That's really fun. And I'm not the biggest apple eater, but when I go apple picking, I usually get 2 apples, and then I chop them up into slices, and then I will dip them in peanut butter or even honey. So we recently just had Rosh Hashanah, and so one of the traditions for Rosh Hashanah is to dip apples in honey to remind them of the sweet new year. Grad school. Oh, that's so exciting. Congratulations. What are you going to be studying? Yeah, so that is a really yummy snack. So try dipping apples in honey because it is really, really good. And then I also like eating it with peanut butter. I think that's like a classic staple healthy snack that I really enjoy. Another fall activity that I really like is just going and trying different like seasonal beers, especially pumpkin beers. That's always really fun, which is something that I am doing later tonight. So that's going to be really fun. Oh, and hikes. Obviously, I like going on hikes. I feel like y'all know that I'm a big hike person. I feel like I've made so many videos of me going on hikes, but it's just something that I really like to do in my free time. Hiking is just something that gets me moving. There's so many things that you can see, and it's good exercise, and I really just enjoy it. I wanted to move out of San Francisco to New York City. Okay, fair enough. I know many people who have moved out of San Francisco to New York, and they want to go from one expensive city to another. I mean, the thing is, like, the expensive cities, yeah, they're expensive, but there's a reason that they're expensive. It's because, like, everybody wants to live there because there's cool shit to do. Like, New York City, I feel like that's another city where you can't be bored. There's so much that you can do there, and there's so many things to see, places to go to, places to eat. You have all the shopping over there. Yeah, I mean, New York City definitely would be great. I personally won't move to New York City because I don't want to go back to the East Coast, like, ever. I'm from the East Coast, but I do like visiting. I used to go Black Friday shopping in New York City when I would visit my aunt who lives in Cherry Hill, and that's in New Jersey, and I would always take the NJ Transit, which is New Jersey's version of Caltrain, and it was about like an hour train ride to New York City, and it was so convenient. And I would go with one of my sorority sisters who lives in North Jersey, and she was like 40 minutes out of the city, so that was always a really fun time. So we would go to New York City together, and we would go Black Friday shopping, and it was such a good time. Hang on one second, I'm gonna put some lipstick on. Okay. Alrighty. There we go. That's a nice little fall color. Okay, and then I'm not going to bother with my hair just because the weather is just gross. And I also plan on washing my hair tonight, so there's just absolutely no point in styling my hair for right now. So I'm going to pass on that. I'm going to put my mirror away. I'm probably going to stay on for maybe 10 to 15 more minutes just because I do need to eat lunch. And for anyone who's never been on my live streams before, typically I just like to stream for around an hour or so. I don't want to like be streaming all day long because typically Saturdays are days where I do film, or I might do something within my social life, and I need to make sure that I find that balance to get everything done pretty much. On another note, I have a question. Did anyone watch the Met Gala or look at all the pictures from the Met Gala? I'm curious to know, who was your favorite, or I guess you could say, who was your favorite person's outfit from the Met Gala? I will say I absolutely loved Normani and Kendall Jenner's outfits. Oh my God, they were so beautiful. I really want to see if there's a way to share my screen here so I could show you what it looks like. I still don't know how to do that though. Because this is my first time using Streamlabs OBS, which is a live streaming software tool that I just installed, but I don't know how to do it yet. I guess for me, this is poor planning on my part because I should have done research on how to do this, and I literally just installed it last night, which is, you know me, I'm a procrastinator, especially when it comes to these live streams. I just kind of wing them. It's such poor planning on my part, but I will get better. I promise I will get better. I feel like 4 months and doing a live stream once a month is still not enough live streaming experience, especially when I don't do it that often. So please bear with me. I really don't know what I'm doing. I appreciate y'all for not judging. Let's see. What else was I going to say, though, really quick? I lost my train of thought. Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah. So I am going to Home Goods and Target today. It's funny. I actually went to Home Goods last weekend, and I went to the one in Beaverton, but I actually want to go to the one in Portland. And the reason I went to Beaverton is because it actually was a shorter commute from where I live. And so the one that's in Portland is closer to the airport, which is a lot further away if I'm going to take public transportation. And I might just suck it up and do it just because that way I'll be on the Max train and it'll drop me off right there. So it won't be too much walking and I won't be out in the rain for very long. And then the big Target, there's only one big Target in the city, and then everything else is like a City Express Target where it's a little bit smaller and it doesn't have all the home goods and stuff like that, or just like bigger selection of things. And that's also near the airport, and it's really close to home goods and even the IKEA. So I'm going to go there because, again, I really want to decorate my place for fall. And I also need to start decorating the living room area. So I think what I'm going to do, which will be a fun video, is instead of doing like the living room makeover, I'm going to kind of combine it with fall. So you can see me build out the living room and then decorate it for fall in the process. I think that will be really fun. And it'll still kind of be Portland themed just because it's a Portland apartment. And I always put my city when I do these makeovers in case people want to see what an apartment looks like in Portland. People are searching for that on YouTube. So yeah, it's still worth putting that in the title. Alrighty, honestly, I might cut the stream a little bit shorter for this month. I think 11 a.m. really is just not the best time to do streams. I've noticed that every single time I do a stream at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, not as many people attend because I think it's just too early in the day. And I had decent engagement last time I did a stream, which was at 3 p.m. And then I also did another one when I was 6 at night. So I might have to play around with those two times to really get a feel of what's the best time to stream on a Saturday. So let me know if this time is not good for you, if this time is good for you. But with that being said, I do want to thank the people who did come in and out in the stream, and thank you just so much for being here. It definitely means a lot.